You ever notice how the apps on your phone just seem to know each other? Like how your Maps app can call a ride share for you, or your calorie tracker logs a workout from your fitness watch automatically? Well, I can tell you, it's not magic. It's actually a powerful, kind of hidden network of messengers that run our entire digital world. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain and demystify how software really talks.
Yeah, I mean, think about it for a second. You pop open a travel app, you type in a destination, and bam, within moments, you've got flight options from dozens of different airlines. And each one of those airlines has its own, super complex booking system. So how in the world does your one little app get all of that information from all those different places so incredibly fast?
So, that's the core problem we're talking about. It's this connection conundrum. See, most applications are like their own little isolated islands, with their own data and their own rules. For them to work together, they need some kind of bridge. They need a totally reliable way to ask for information and then get a response that they can actually understand. So, how do we build that bridge?
Well, the solution is to have a dedicated messenger, right? A kind of go-between that handles all the back and forth communication. And honestly, the best way to think about this messenger is as a digital waiter. Just stick with me on this one. I promise it's going to make everything perfectly clear.
That digital waiter, that's what we call an API. It stands for Application Programming Interface. And its whole job is to be the link, the single point of contact between one application that needs something and the server that has what it's looking for.
And this whole process, it maps perfectly onto our waiter analogy. Let's walk through it. First, your app makes a request. That's you placing an order. Then the API, our waiter, takes that order to the server, which is basically the kitchen. The server processes the request. The kitchen prepares your food. And then the API delivers the finished product, the data, right back to your app. It's a simple four-step dance: request, transport, process, and response. That's it.
Okay, so here's a really crucial point. An API isn't the server itself. It's the interface. Think of it like a strict set of rules for how to communicate. It acts as a gatekeeper, making sure you can only ask for specific things in a very specific way. And that controlled access is exactly what makes the whole system so secure and predictable.
Now, imagine if every single restaurant had completely different rules for ordering. It would be total chaos, right? Well, the same is true for APIs. That's why the best ones follow a shared rulebook. And in the modern digital world, that rulebook is called REST.
It's like when you walk into any restaurant. You kind of know the drill. You get a menu, you order, you eat, you pay. REST provides that same predictable experience, but for software. It creates a standard way of doing things so developers don't have to learn a completely new system every single time they want to connect two apps.
So this whole approach is known as REST, which stands for Representational State Transfer. And it's not a language, but an architectural style. An API that's built this way is called a RESTful API, and it's pretty much the gold standard for web services today, simply because it works so incredibly well.
Okay, so a good set of rules also needs a common language. I mean, if the waiter takes your order in English, but the kitchen only understands French, you're going to have a problem. Well, APIs need a shared language too.
And for modern REST APIs, that language is overwhelmingly a format called JSON. That stands for JavaScript Object Notation. It's the format they use for everything, sending the requests and getting the data back.
So why JSON? Why is the standard? Well, it just hits this perfect sweet spot. For one, it's incredibly lightweight, which means faster loading times and less data being used. It's also simple enough for a human, like you or me, to just read it at a glance. But it's also structured perfectly for a computer to understand it instantly. It's really the best of both worlds.
Of course, it wasn't always this simple. Before we had these clean, easy-to-read menus of REST and JSON, communication on the internet was, well, let's just say it was a bit clunkier. Let's take a quick look at the old way of doing things. These older systems are what we often call legacy APIs. They relied on much more rigid protocols, with names like SOAP and XML-RPC. You can think of them as requiring like a super formal multi-page legal document just to place a single order. They were powerful for sure, but all that power came at the cost of being way more complex to work with. And instead of that lightweight JSON we were just talking about, these legacy systems used a language called XML, which stands for Extensible Markup Language. And the key word to remember there is verbose. It just required a lot more text to say the exact same thing. And I mean, look at this. The difference is just night and day. On the left, you've got JSON. It's clean, it's simple, it's self-explanatory. But on the right, that's XML. It needs opening tags and closing tags for every single piece of data. It's carrying the exact same information, but with so much more baggage. And all that extra weight just slows things down, which is exactly why the modern web has moved on.
So let's just tie this all together real quick. The API is our digital waiter. REST is the modern rulebook that all the best waiters follow. JSON is the simple, efficient language they all speak. And those other technologies like SOAP and XML, they represent the older, more complicated systems that have pretty much been replaced.
From your phone to your car to your smart home, APIs are literally the invisible threads that are weaving our digital lives together. They've already changed absolutely everything. So the only question left is, what are they going to connect next?